It is a great day here on Welcome to Our Community. Anytime we can welcome back Shay Schrader, our investigative reporter. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me back.
You've been doing so many powerful stories lately. I just felt that we should just come and revisit them. Especially, let's begin with the raids at the HLGA battery company at the Hyundai megasite. You were there covering those raids and all the fallout that came from them.
Yeah, that was kind of a surreal experience because, as you know, we had covered pretty extensively before the ICE raids the presence of undocumented workers on the site, the concerns that people in the local community had that they were being exploited, and the concerns from local contractors that they were being left off of this multi-billion-dollar economic development project in favor of cheaper illegal labor. And so when we found out that ICE was on site and that Homeland Security was investigating, it all kind of came together.
It's really something too. And then when you did more of your research and finding out that so many of these undocumented workers were not just employed by one contractor, but multiple contractors.
Yeah, so we kind of wove through that web in a story earlier this year, and we found that there were hundreds of contractors that were working on the Hyundai site. Only 4 of them were actually local to this area. Every other contractor that had a local address was a company that had set up shop here right around the time of groundbreaking or after groundbreaking on the Hyundai plant. And when we had contacted Hyundai Motor Group Metaplan America about the story, they essentially said, you know, we subcontract a lot of these jobs out, but we require our subcontractors to follow the law. So when Homeland Security Investigations came out and said that there was a network of subcontractors that they were looking into for illegal labor practices, it really just connects back to the reporting that we had already been doing for months prior to the ICE raid.
Well, that is really something, and if I remember correctly, there were like 475 people or so who were detained, and just seeing the whole, it became a real international story.
Yes.
With Korea and America, and then the governor finally weighed in a few days later.
Yes, so 475 people, like you said, were detained. 300 of those folks were South Korean nationals that the governor of Georgia, the company, some official sources have come out and said that they were here doing proprietary work that could not have been done by American citizens. And so this created a real rift between the United States and South Korea. South Korea even announcing that they were looking into potential human rights abuses of their citizens during the course of the raid. Those 300 South Koreans, all of them but one, have been repatriated. They're back home, and construction on the HLGA battery site is still halted, waiting for those workers to come back. But also what kind of got lost in the national or international conversation, you might say, is there were around 175 other people that were detained in that raid, and their statuses are still not known. We don't know if they're still in ICE detention, how many of them have been deported, but those folks have not been repatriated home, and so we really don't know the status of the non-South Korean people.
Well, we're really fortunate to have you on our staff and in this position because you take your job so seriously. You're so thorough. I will tell you, I know that you don't do this job for accolades, but we were all so proud at that news conference when national law enforcement recognized your work. And this is how they were kind of realized something bad was going on because of your reporting. That must have made you at least feel a little bit proud in the midst of such a bad situation.
Yeah, it was definitely a little surreal hearing Homeland Security Investigations say that they had followed our reporting. But when you go back and look at the search warrant, it's really clear. We had done not just stories about the subcontractors, but also people getting injured and dying at this site. And if you looked at the search warrant that Homeland Security Investigations had to gain access to the grounds, many of the companies that they were looking at were already under OSHA investigation. Wow. For worker deaths, and that's something that we've been on top of from moment one. And so when they said that they had paid attention to our reporting, definitely a surreal moment.
So at this point, Shay, do you think that there will be any other changes that we will see in terms of, well, we know that these people are contracted by the Hyundai megasite there, but also the state of Georgia. This is such a huge investment. It's such a big thing for our citizens to have access to these jobs and these cars being made here. Do you think that there might be some changes sometime in the future where maybe the state will look at it a little bit differently, maybe monitoring these companies a little bit more?
You know, I really don't know. That's something that we're going to have to see. We do know that Hyundai has appointed somebody to oversee the megasite as a whole. And something that we ran into when we were reporting on this is there's Hyundai Motor Group Metaplant America, which is the car plant itself. There's the HLGA battery company, that's the battery company, jointly owned by LG and Hyundai. And then there's all the subcontractors that are doing the construction work. There's Hyundai Mobis. They all were acting as independent entities, even when we were trying to get answers on what do you know about this worker death. Hyundai Motor Group Metaplant America would say that wasn't on our property, that was on the HLGA battery site. Now somebody has been appointed to oversee the mega site as a whole instead of all these different little independent parts. So we could see some changes there. We do know that Governor Brian Kemp is going to South Korea within the next couple of weeks to speak with the South Korean government and talk about business and all those things. His office says that the trip was planned before the megasite raid. It's obviously going to be important now. But as far as changes, you know, we've been pressing the state of Georgia. We've been pressing the Savannah Economic Development Authority, which was part of the contract to bring Hyundai here in the first place. And no one is really talking adjustments or changes at this point.
Well, thank you so much for staying on the topic. And if there are any updates, please come back and share with us.
Thank you so much, Dawn.